This year's AEW 2023 Blood and Guts match will feature mystery participants for both the Blackpool Combat Club as well as the Elite. Details on who they could be for either team. The Young Bucks reportedly could leave AEW and may head to WWE, at least that's what Konnan thinks. MJF and Adam Cole advanced in the Blind Tag Team Eliminator Tournament last night on AEW Dynamite. Nick Wayne is going to be making his AEW debut next week on Dynamite. Speaking of that Blind Tag Team Eliminator Tournament, Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy have advanced in it. Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia have been paired up. Ruby Soho has advanced in the Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament for the women's bracket. Dax Harwood hits back at the criticism surrounding the latest ratings for AEW Collision last Saturday night. Malachi Black reveals that he requested to Tony Khan that he would only appear on AEW Collision, and Diamante is now a full-time AEW contracted talent. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's talk about Blood and Guts, the upcoming match in Boston in just a few weeks' time. Now, announced on last night's AEW Dynamite, there are two AEW stars who have been officially ruled out of the big upcoming Blood and Guts match. In discussing the upcoming Blood and Guts match for July 19, AEW confirmed that two top stars were officially out. Bryan Danielson was officially ruled out of participating on behalf of the Blackpool Combat Club due to his broken arm that he suffered, of course, at Forbidden Door. Eddie Kingston is also officially ruled out after previously aligning with the Elites during the feud, as he will be participating in New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 33 instead. The match is confirmed to be 5-on-5 with 4 members of each team currently confirmed. The 4 Blackpool Combat Club representatives thus far are Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and Konosuke Takeshita. The Elite's current lineup is Hangman Adam Page, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. The segment noted that the final member of each team would be announced in the coming weeks. In a later segment, Chris Jericho teased a rejuvenation of himself and potentially a new character iteration before being joined by Don Callis, who offered him a spot in the Don Callis family, which could imply his involvement at Blood and Guts, as Takeshita is a member of said family. Jericho replied with a fascinating maybe, which drew the ire from the Jericho Appreciation Society member Daniel Garcia in a later backstage interview segment. Of course, Jericho has been in both Blood and Guts matches thus far in AEW history, but if he is to be involved this year, we'll have to wait and see which team he decides to side with. So let me know your thoughts. Who do you think these mystery participants will be? Will it be Chris Jericho? Who do you think the Elite will choose as their partner? Let me know your thoughts, predictions, and comments in the comment section below. Speaking of the Elite, could the Young Bucks be the latest AEW EVP to leave AEW and join WWE? Well, according to Konnan, he would not be surprised to see the Young Bucks follow the precedent set by Cody Rhodes and become the next pair of AEW EVPs to leave for the WWE. The veteran wrestler and promoter predicted Matt and Nick Jackson's future path on a recent episode of his Keeping It 100 podcast, whereby his co-host Disco Inferno criticized Matt and Nick Jackson's promo skills. Quote, "They can cut promos, I just don't think they're motivated right now," Konnan said of the Young Bucks. "Look at them compared to when the company started. Just their body language, attitude, everything. It doesn't seem like they want to be there. I could be wrong." Konnan then disagreed with a fan who referred to the Young Bucks as the worst tag team of all time. "That's a stretch," Konnan responded. "They're still building their legacy. They could go to WWE and pop off, you know." Konnan also highlighted the importance of WWE utilizing Rhodes as a top star and how WWE's treatment of the American Nightmare could entice the Elite to follow suit. While there have been conflicting reports about the contract status of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, Dave Meltzer reported last month that AEW CEO Tony Khan has been aggressive in his pursuit to lock in his 3 EVPs for the long haul. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, most people in AEW believe the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page will ultimately re-sign with AEW, with all 4 men receiving a significant raise. In the event the Elite just pull off a Radicals and randomly appear on WWE programming, Konnan predicts an instant interaction with Cody, the man who gave up on their collective dream to compete with WWE. Quote, "They could come into WWE and effing tell Cody, 'Hey, you deserted us,'" Konnan said. "Start a storyline there. I think if WWE brought them in, they would use them wisely because they're obviously talent." So let me know your thoughts on Konnan's speculation about that. Is he right? Is he wrong? What do you think is going to be the future path of the Young Bucks as well as the other members of the Elite? Are they going to stick in AEW or could they go elsewhere? And let's talk about Dynamite last night and the blind tag team eliminator tournament, really dominating AEW television at the moment, as well as the Owen Hart Foundation tournament too. Adam Cole and AEW World Champion Maxwell Jacob Friedman advanced to the next round of the blind eliminator tag team tournament, and on Cole's birthday to boot, the pair faced off against Daddy Magic Matt Menard and The Butcher on Wednesday night's AEW Dynamite on TBS, who appeared earlier in the day. MJF and Cole's tag team victory was topped off with the AEW champion surprising Cole with some over-the-top birthday festivities and a seemingly sincere thank you from Cole. Their pairing in the Blind Eliminator tournament has thrown a wrench into the ongoing storyline between MJF and Cole, which started with a heated promo and carried on into Cole wrestling the AEW champion to a time limit draw in a championship eliminator match. Since then, MJF has been laying it on thick with Cole after they were paired together in the tournament. MJF has had something of a busy run on AEW programming lately. He defended his title at Forbidden Door and proceeded to defend it once again on AEW Collision against Ethan Page. The AEW World Champion also made his first appearance ever on AEW Rampage just 2 weeks ago. Let's talk about a debut coming next week, and it's in the form of Nick Wayne. This has been in the works for a long time in AEW. Nick Wayne is set to make his AEW in-ring debut next week on Dynamite against Swerve Strickland. Wayne, who will turn 18 on Monday, recently graduated from high school. Despite being in school, Wayne has already had a prolific wrestling career thus far, sharing the rings with the likes of Strickland, Will Ospreay, Wheeler Yuta, Bandido, Konosuke Takeshita, El Hijo del Vikingo, and far too many more to list here. The match on the July 12 Dynamite has been anticipated for some time, as it's the first AEW show after Wayne turns 18. Wayne was signed to AEW in the early months of 2022 when he was just 16 years old. AEW CEO Tony Khan previously stated that it was Darby Allin who brought the young star to his attention. Notably, Allin was trained by the late Buddy Wayne, of course that being Nick's father. Wayne's debut will solidify him as yet another young talent in AEW, but he won't be the only remarkably young wrestler in the company's ranks. Back in April, Tony Schiavone announced that AEW had signed 18-year-old Billy Starks. Since the signing, she's been showcased against Jade Cargill and against Athena in a quarterfinal matchup in the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament as well. So Nick Wayne set to make his AEW Dynamite debut next week. Now, speaking of Darby Allin, who did introduce a vignette for Nick Wayne on Dynamite last night, despite being former AEW World Tag Team Champions, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland's animosity was too strong in the opening round of the AEW Blind Eliminator Tag Team Tournament. AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin were successful against the former Swerve in Our Glory on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, with Allin felling Strickland to get the pinfall, despite the fact that they lost the match because of a miscommunication that caused Strickland to hit Lee not once but twice. There was no meaningful movement in the Strickland-Lee feud that has been going on in varying degrees since December. Meanwhile, a lack of any announced bracket means there's no word yet on who Cassidy and Allin will face in the tournament, but we do know some more teams that we're going to get into in just a bit. The match marked a departure for Allin, who is used to teaming with WWE Hall of Famer Sting. Allin has been by Sting's side as the former WCW champion takes bigger and bigger risks inside and outside of the ring, a prediction that Allin takes no credit for, saying in a recent interview that Sting has chosen to do his death-defying stunts on his own, and he was not being peer-pressured by Darby or anyone else. As for Cassidy, he's been mainly a single star lately, defending his AEW International Championship 25 times over the last 267 days. Now, continuing on with this tag team blind eliminator tournament, we've got some more pairings that were announced last night. To some, Daniel Garcia is a wrestler. To others, Daniel Garcia is a sports entertainer. To Sammy Guevara, Daniel Garcia is his tag team partner next week. On Wednesday night's AEW Dynamite, it was revealed that the Jericho Appreciation Society members will team together in the Blind Eliminator Tag Team Tournament. Garcia and Guevara will make their tournament debut against the team of Jeff Jarrett and Matt Hardy on Friday's episode of Rampage. We'll get into Hardy and Jarrett in just a second. Guevara has been in an apparent push and pull with his conscience lately, considering leaving the Jericho Appreciation Society behind as he looks towards his impending fatherhood with his wife Tay Mello. Meanwhile, Daniel Garcia has been seemingly relishing in Jericho's approval, shedding his professional wrestler persona in favor of being a a sports entertainer, despite many fans pleading with him to remember his grappling roots. With Chris Jericho talking to his old Winnipeg running mate Don Callis on Wednesday's Dynamite in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and flirting with the idea of getting involved in the feud between the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club, things should come to a head between the two young proteges in the blind eliminator tournament very, very soon. As we mentioned, Matt Hardy and Jeff Jarrett will also be teaming up in this blind eliminator tag team tournament. The dream of total non-stop action is alive in AEW as two of TNA's former world champions are set to team together in the AEW blind eliminator tournament. On this week's AEW Dynamite, Matt Hardy drew Jeff Jarrett's name out of the proverbial hat and now will be teaming with the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. "I hate Jeff Jarrett," Hardy exclaimed upon finding out he'd been teaming with the WWE Hall of Famer. The newly formed team will be a distraction for Hardy, who's been mainly focused on his partnership with Ethan Page, as Hardy currently owns Page's contract. Jarrett, meanwhile, has been involved with Satnam Singh, Sonjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal, and recently competed in a concession stand brawl against the former Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion Mark Briscoe. What is certainly quite interesting with this is the history between Matt Hardy and Jeff Jarrett. Of course, there were legal issues and disputes regarding the broken Matt Hardy character when Hardy left Impact/TNA Wrestling in 2017, and Jeff Jarrett thought that it was an intellectual property of TNA, etc, etc, etc. There was a lot of back and forth on social media, as mentioned, legal issues as well. So fascinating that all of these years later, they're teaming up in AEW. What are your thoughts on that? Let me know in the comment section below. Ruby Soho has advanced in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Ruby Soho is moving to the semi-finals of the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament to face Sky Blue after defeating Britt Baker on Wednesday night's AEW Dynamite. The victory avenges Soho's 2022 loss to Baker in the final of last year's tournament at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. It's also Soho's first one-on-one victory over Baker. Aside from Double or Nothing in 2022, Baker also defeated Soho in a match for the AEW Women's World Championship at the first Dynamite Grand Slam special in 2021. Soho has previously beaten Blue in singles competition. However, when they last met in the ring on the debut episode of Collision, Blue scored the deciding pinfall against Soho in a tag team match. The winner between Soho and Blue will go on to face the winner of a match between Willow Nightingale and Ring of Honor World Women's Champion Athena in the finals of this year's tournament. And let's talk about AEW Collision. We just mentioned there, Dax Harwood's hit back at some of the criticism regarding the Collision ratings after this past week's episode did not fare too well in the ratings and also the viewership numbers and the demographics. Dax Harwood has reacted to criticism from a former WWE name over the AEW Collision ratings, as the show has seen week-on-week declines on TNT. Now in its third week of broadcast, AEW Collision's audience averaged 452,000 views, leaving it with a similar audience to the number of the previous evening's episode of Rampage on TNT in a worse time slot. Former WWE name Jonathan Coachman reflected on the ratings drop on Twitter, responding to the ratings news from one of his followers saying, quote, "Let me repeat myself for those except Kyle who clearly listened. Wrestling shows do not work on Saturdays, never have, never will. Now you can all try and come up with something else, but try and understand some of us who are in the business kind of know what we are talking about. All that said, I would never float about being right and an entire fan base being wrong. Not my style." Dax Harwood replied to his tweet with a thread of his own, posting, quote, "Hey coach, we're trying to build a brand. It will take time. We understand that. Hopefully you do too. This roster absolutely loves wrestling like an entity loves it. I know you probably can't relate to that. Will this Saturday night TV show endeavor work? Who knows? What I do know is we'll work our asses off to make it work. I hope you and people like you give us an opportunity to show you professional wrestling is alive. I know you know how Monday nights work, but maybe you'll give us more than 3 weeks to make this work. If not, you're more than welcome to tell me I'm wrong. I'm wrong. What I'm not wrong about is wrestling fans love wrestling and will always work to make them proud and give us a chance." Another Twitter user then replied to Harwood with, F me, you and your fans are so emotional and incapable of criticizing. Coach didn't say you suck or you cannot wrestle or hate wrestling. MF just said Saturdays do not work. Stop being so sensitive. Mind you, Collision is the best show out of the three. This Dynamite is unwatchable and we aren't going to discuss Fridays. Saturday is not going to serve you justice for showcasing the best AEW has. This would lead to the coach replying with, "Finally someone actually reads my tweet. That's all I said. And I got quick capping. You're angling for a job with the WWE. Saturdays worked in 1996. I don't know how wrestling Twitter don't just lose your minds arguing over a wrestling show. It makes me laugh every time a simple comment sets you off and you actually call people names over TV ratings. It's too much. I need to go back to just using it for my show and content. Engaging even intelligently with wrestling fans never works. They want to have it the way they want, regardless of what's really going on. So what are your thoughts on that back and forth between Jonathan Coachman and Dax Harwood? Is he right? Is Dax Harwood right? Or is the truth and the actual accuracy somewhere in the middle, as always? Malachi Black, speaking of Collision, said he only wants to appear on the Saturday night TNT show. Prior to the launch of AEW Collision last month, there had been a lot of speculation surrounding the rosters for the show. The show was designed to keep CM Punk and the Elite apart ahead of Punk's return to the company, with conflicting rumors of a hard brand split ahead of the show. While there's no hard split, various stars have appeared solely on Collision or Dynamite respectively. One of those names is AEW Trios champion Malachi Black, who spoke to Bobby Fish on the Undisputed podcast, revealing that he had pitched to appear strictly on Collision. He said, quote, "I requested to be strictly on Collision. I don't want people to get the pick. Saturday night, I get to see the House of Black. If I give you the option of Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, you're going to go, it really doesn't matter. I'll tune in whenever. They'll be here. I don't want to lose the polish." So Malachi Black saying that he only wants to appear on Collision on Saturdays, and I guess would be in favour of a hard brand split after 3 weeks of AEW Collision. What would you like to see? Would you still like to see a hard brand split, or are you happy the way things are at the moment? Finally, Diamante is now on a full-time contract with All Elite Wrestling. After making her first appearance in January of 2020, Diamante has been a mainstay of All Elite Wrestling for the past 3 years. The former LAX member has shared some of the best and brightest that AEW's roster had to offer, including Hikaru Shida, Riho, Willow Nightingale, reigning TBS champion Chris Statlander, and AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm. The Cuban Diamond also won the first AEW Women's Tag Team Cup alongside Ivelisse. However, she earns each of these accolades with only a part-time deal, but that has now changed. According to Fightful Select, Diamante has been bumped up from the Tier 0 deal she was previously on to a full-time contract. Previously, while she was still signed to some kind of agreement, it wasn't the All Elite graphic level deal that many performers we see on TV are on. Though she hasn't been appearing on Dynamite, Rampage, or Collision much lately, Diamante has been a fixture of the Ring of Honor Women's Division after AEW's YouTube programming was discontinued. The Miami native has won 5 of her 7 matches on Honor Club this year, which includes hard-fought victories over Trish Adora and Layla Gray. Prior to arriving in ROH, she was signed as the champion of Queens of Combat and IWC before making a mark in Impact, NWA, and Women of Wrestling. Diamante earned even more gold when she captured the WOW Tag Team Championships in 2022 under the name Adrenaline, paired with Fire, better known as Kiera Hogan. So there you go, guys. This is the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.